Am I the a-hole for outing my brother to his in-laws and kids? My parents live with me because I bought their house when they were going to lose it. They were going to lose it because of all the money they spent keeping my brother out of jail and keeping him in rehab. My brother is clean and sober now, married, with kids, religious, with a father-in-law that gave him a great job. He has never paid my parents back 1 cent. I live in a basement suite with my girlfriend and my dog. I make good money, and my parents deserve to have a good life. They did what they thought was best. My brother had us all over to his house for a barbecue. It was a good meal, and his kids are all right for being his offspring. He then proceeded to mock me for still living at home, smoking weed and playing video games while living in sin. I told him to shut up and leave me out of whatever was going on. He said that he just knew I could be doing so much better if I applied myself and looked for guidance. I thanked him for the meal and my girlfriend and I went to leave. He yelled that he was just telling me what I needed to hear to motivate me. I got upset, so I said I was motivated. I said that I liked to smoke and to drink, but that I paid for it myself with money I earned from a job. I never stole from our parents to pay for drugs. I said that I lived on the basement of a house I own because I couldn't afford 2 houses, one for me and one for our parents. And that since they went into that to pay for his lawyers and rehab, I was subsidizing his life. I said that my college fund went up to his nose. I may be bitter. We left. I guess his wife, who knew everything, had never told her parents. My parents understand why I blew my top, but they think I should have kept it in until it was only family there. Now for the top comments. I think it was nice of you to refresh your brother's memory, since he basically insisted on you doing so. His past would have stayed there if he hadn't decided to call you out for taking care of the mess he made. Seriously, what did he possibly expect to gain by needling you? Not the a-hole. And sometimes you do have to react in the moment. Between the anger and the resentment, you know if you don't react, the person will do it again. How sad OP's brother has to talk him down in order to make himself feel like a man. And what BS had he fed his in-laws feel a need to degrade his sibling like this? It is not like OP failed to try biting his tongue and leaving. He did try that. Bro persisted and demanded a response. Most of these situations absolutely need to be handled in a moment. If it's okay for OP's brother to berate him in public, it's perfectly fine for him to respond in kind. Shame on the parents for still taking the brother aside after everything OP has done for them. Your brother has rewritten history in his head so that he's the better child. It allows him to hold himself up higher than everyone else, ignoring everything that you and your parents did, especially everything that you gave up. Honestly, the fact that you did such an amazing thing for your parents after they essentially forfeited your future for him and his drug habit speaks volumes about you. Your parents need to understand that keeping things in is what brought stuff to here. To them, losing their home because they were so focused on fixing your brother and giving him every possible chance that they didn't care what happened, even though it doesn't seem to care how any of that impacted anyone else. Not the a-hole. No greater hypocrite than a reformed addict. Religious reformed addict. That's at least one level up. And then what happened? Not much. My brother is mad at me for talking about his past. My parents understand why I did what I did, but they said I should have walked away. I think I probably should have just left. No, you absolutely do not have to eat this nonsense. You deserve that little reality check. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother his girlfriend and daughter are unlucky to have him? I, 20 female, have a brother, Jake, 31. Jake has a girlfriend, Macy, 28 female, and they have an 8-month-old baby girl together. Since Macy gave birth, she's been living with mom and I. She has a lot of health issues that were amplified by pregnancy and labor, so we've been taking care of her. Jake still lives in their apartment on his own and comes over every so often. He is putting his all into work right now to progress his career. He is already doing quite well from what I can tell, and they are not financially struggling. He owns their apartment and can't afford to give them most things they desire, but he says he isn't where he wants to be with his career yet. Meanwhile, Macy is depressed and struggling physically too. She's on several medications and she barely leaves the house. My mom and I do 90% of the child care because Macy isn't in the state to be doing much, although she tries her best and feels very guilty for how much we've had to do to take care of my niece. My mom and I are happy to help, and Macy is kind of like a sister to me now. We're willing to do anything for her, but seeing her so lonely and unhappy is heartbreaking. My brother came over last night to see his daughter for literally 20 minutes, then he stood up to leave. I followed him out and asked where he always is, and why he isn't here with his wife who is clearly struggling and taking care of his daughter. He said he works hard and is too tired to come all the way over here after work every day, so he just comes when he can. Bear in mind, it's a 30-minute drive from their apartment to my mom's house. I said one day his daughter won't even recognize him, and neither will his wife because he doesn't make the effort to be here. He said it isn't my business, and if I'm unhappy helping them with a baby, then I should just stop, and that no one is forcing me. I said I'm not unhappy taking care of my niece, but it's heartbreaking seeing his girlfriend alone in that state, and him not being there for her or their daughter. I said he comes to see them probably once a week for 20 minutes, and it's not good enough, unless he's the freaking president of this nation and doesn't have any time at all. But he's not. He works a 9 to 5, so it's not like he's busier than the regular person. I said he should have been smarter and not have a child if he was going to put his career over his family, because now he isn't much of a father at all. He said he isn't taking advice on how to be a father from a kid who has no clue anything she's talking about, and that none of this is my business, so I should keep my 2 cents to myself from now on. I said I don't have to be older or a parent to know he's a useless father, and that his wife and daughter are extremely unlucky to have a loser like him. I walked into the house before he could respond. I know I was mean, but I don't really regret it, and I don't think it was unwarranted. But my mom said although I was right, I took it too far and may have pushed my brother away. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your brother is a deadbeat. Who wants to bet that bro will soon or already has a new girl to fool around with? I would bet my house that he has at least one side piece. Not the a-hole. He is quite literally being useless, for the most part, and they do sound unlucky to have him. They are living as if he's a nearly absent baby daddy paying child support. When I got near the end and read that he's only working 9 to 5, my jaw dropped. His girlfriend and your niece are lucky to have you and your mother. It's very thoughtful of you two to be helping so much. I'll be honest, a 30-minute drive twice a day can really put some wear and tear on a vehicle and cost a lot in gas, but to stay for only 20 minutes? And to only visit once a week? That's deadbeat behavior. He needed a reality check. He clearly doesn't want to be around any of you and wants to blame it on his piddly 9 to 5. I read this wondering why he doesn't stay the night once in a while or pick them up to stay at his apartment. His acting single is what he's doing. At first it was because he said he doesn't have the knowledge or the ability to take care of them both on his own. To be honest, we understood that. But we thought when Macy and the baby come to stay with us, he would be coming too, and we'd all do what we could. He stayed at their apartment and put all the work on us, while he lived like he is single and child-free. So as everyone does, you learn. There's only one way this will be fixed, and if you guys stop doing everything for him. But the other thing, is Macy getting some therapy or talk to a doctor? To help her? Yeah, she's getting physical therapy for one of the conditions, and she's on medication for the rest. She has appointments with the doctor every 2 weeks. She's getting better, but very slowly. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that she can't speak for my brother's late wife? My brother met his late wife, Emmer, when they were both 12. I was 14. Emmer and I became really amazing friends, and she and my brother ended up dating by the time they were 14, and they were together until her death just after her 28th birthday. They had 2 boys together, who were 5 and 7 when Emmer died. 2 years after she died, my brother met his current wife, Laura. They dated for 2 years and got married 18 months ago. The boys are now 11 and 13, and they aren't really crazy about Laura. They are respectful, but she wants a more motherly relationship with them, and they are not interested in that with her. My brother was sort of upset about their lack of interest in a closer relationship with Laura, and we were talking about it recently. And I brought up our own complicated relationship with our dad and his second wife. The background there is my brother and I are both adoptees. Our mom was the woman who adopted us at our births with our dad. She died when we were 6 and 8. Our dad pushed for us to call his second wife Mom. His wife pushed for the same. The fact we were adopted was used as a reason why we should be able to accept his wife as our mom. Because we weren't biologically related to our mom, neither of us ever saw her as anything else. And Dad decided we should have no contact with each other if we didn't accept his wife and her kids as our mom and siblings. Emmer knew how bad things were with our dad and his second wife, and she often heard my brother vent about how crappy Dad was for never understanding that him falling in love with someone else enough for her to be his wife didn't mean we would feel the same way about the same woman for her to be our new mom. When Emmer knew she was dying, she warned my brother to remember if he found someone and their boys didn't want her to be more than his wife. She also wrote him a letter and touched on it there. He had me read a letter to him after Emmer passed. Talking this all through with my brother helped him to realize he was doing what our dad had done. He said he somewhat understood Dad a little, and that the hope was there, but he never wanted to do to his boys what Dad did to us. He and Laura spoke. Then a couple of days ago, my brother and Laura were at my house and she was trying to tell him that Emmer would have wanted the boys to have a second mom, and it's what all parents want. They would want someone doing that for their kids. My brother told her he knew that wasn't true. She asked if he really believed that, and said he might have picked it up wrong. I told her she couldn't speak for Emmer. I reminded her that I was present when Emmer said it, and I read a letter to my brother. She told me I should be backing her up, and if I love Emmer so much, I would agree that she would want that. My brother told her I knew Emmer. She said that didn't mean I had to accuse her so harshly. She told me I wasn't helping anyone by interfering. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She can be acting like a mother to those boys without forcing them to call her such. There is a huge difference in that. It sounds almost as if she is working on the premise, if they start calling me mom, they will start believing I am one. Instead of, if I act like they are my kids, they might start seeing me as their parent. Also not to forget, even with biological parents, 11 to 13 is the start of teenage years, and it isn't specifically good period during which kids feel very fond of their parents. It is more strenuous and rebellious time even when you are blood related. I think it's even less about them calling her mom specifically. Laura's bothered by the fact they're polite to her but don't need her for anything or ask her for something when they could. They go to my brother mostly, or sometimes me or their other family. They have grandparents and uncles from Emmer's side. She feels like they are not giving her the chance to be much of anything to them, which is possibly very true, but they might never want that. She's not being someone they'd want to go to. Not the a-hole. Why is everyone pushing these kids to feel something they don't? It's awful. Forget your mom. You have a new one. They don't need that. They need love that doesn't need a definition that's only designed to make the adults feel better. Kids first. They just need love without all of this pressure. A lot of people fail to realize that things don't always slot together into a neat little puzzle. They can, and it happens, but not always. Sometimes you just have to make the best out of the pieces you have. When a piece or multiple pieces are missing, the puzzle changes. That's how I see it. The boys might never want new pieces to come in where their mom was. Maybe with time they will feel more strongly about Laura being something more to them, but maybe she's always going to be my brother's wife in their eyes. It really doesn't help anyone to push it. My brother and I are living proof of that. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my purse to a child? I went with my now ex-fiancé Mike to a third birthday party for his niece Sissy. I had a Coach Disney bag my mom gave me for my birthday. His family thinks I'm spoiled because my parents still gift me clothes and makeup. I constantly go out shopping with my 4 sisters and sister-in-law. My mom and dad normally pick up the bill and never expects anything. His family makes constant comments, especially his sister April. So Sissy saw my bag and wanted it for her birthday. I tried to explain it was my birthday gift from my mom. Later on, Sissy didn't like the princess Legos set I got her, and April got mad, saying I have money. It's not true. My parents gift me stuff, and I work in an entry-level job. Funds are tight for me, and my student loan payments are starting up again, so I really don't have extra income. April and then their mom started in on me like I should give Sissy the bag. I was so upset. I took off my engagement ring and handed it to Sissy, saying, "This is the only gift your family will ever receive from me again." I got an Uber and I left. Told my dad what happened while crying, and he picked me up at my apartment. Then told my ex I'm moving out over text. I guess his sister got his phone and texted me all sorts of things about how I can't afford to break the lease, and I told her my dad is going to pay for it if I move back in with him and mom. So now he's getting a half of the apartment and your daughter gets a shiny ring, and she should be thanking me. After that, my dad got movers, and because my parents got me most of the furniture, it's coming with me. My ex thinks I'm being childish and petty for taking what his family did on him. I told him he should have spoken up and stopped his sister and mom from demanding my purse. It's not like this is the first time his family acted like that, but it's the last time. Not the a-hole. Sissy is 3 and may have trouble understanding things, but it is her mom's job to make that explanation in an age-appropriate manner. You probably should have put her purse in your vehicle, where Sissy would have promptly forgot about it. Clearly, April hasn't prized Legos lately. April and her mom were so out of line. One wonders whether they were raised in a backwoods shack, far from normal human social conventions. Your then fiancé should have put an immediate stop to it. If he wasn't going to then, you can be sure he wasn't likely to in the future. Handing your ring to Sissy was a boss move though. I wonder if she'll pitch a fit if it tries to take it back from Sissy. Will April demand that Sissy be allowed to keep the ring? Not a-hole. So she thinks because her parents have money and like to spend that hard-earned cash on their kids, that it means her kid should be able to demand whatever she wants? And she thinks that makes you the spoilt one? Lol, her kid's an entitled little brat, and she's the same. They had no right to do that. And the fact that your boyfriend stood there and did nothing and then put it on you? Nope, you were right to walk away. With family like that, he'll be lucky if any woman is stupid enough to put up with them. I'll predict he'll be single for a very long time. The kid will become an entitled brat. She's a toddler, and she didn't understand the situation. She just wanted a pretty thing. It's the parents' responsibility to explain to a toddler why that's not okay. The toddler is not being an a-hole. She's just being a toddler.